Today's our final week of If Money Talked. Feel free to push into our podcasts or check out more of the episodes on this channel. Today, Mark's going to take the message. Enjoy.
Thank you for calling Money. This is your money. Okay. Yes, no, I get it. I bet that speech at the fundraiser was amazing. But I just don't think we can give our entire paycheck to save the guinea pigs. So how about instead we start with a percentage? No, not 99%. I was thinking lower. Now we're gonna talk about my favorite thing. It's called a budget. Hello? Where'd you go? I'm gonna say a word. And this word starts with the letter B. All right, they already hung up. What if we budget? Hello? Now we're gonna make a budget. Hello? Today I'm gonna make a budget for you. Hello? Okay, that was fair. I just want to help someone make a plan. Please, let's talk about a budget. Money, what's your emergency? Mom, I told you not to call me on this line. It's very important work that I'm trying to do here. Yeah, Mom, what joke was it? That is a good one. Dad, you hear this joke from Mom? Yeah, Mom, tell her. Hey, Money, this is me. I'm Money. Hello, how can I help you? Yes, I can hear that you are very frustrated. Well, I don't have the authority to spend myself, but I can help you figure out who has been spending me. Are we sure that it wasn't you though? Okay, all right. We can look at the statement if you want to. Yeah, on page 12. That is how much interest you are paying on your credit card every month. I did not sign us up for that deal. That was not me. Okay, so you've already bought it. Oh, so now you want to figure out how to pay for it. Okay. Well, it'd be really nice if we had these conversations before you made the purchase. Thank you for calling Money. Karen, I'm so glad that you called again. Now we can finally put together a plan. I don't think I sound like your father. Well, your father sounds like a very nice and intelligent man, and maybe you should listen to both of us more. Karen, that is some very saucy language. I meant that as a compliment. You know what? Okay, I'm getting a call. I'm gonna have to put a hold on this. Hello, Money, what's your emergency? Karen, just because you call me on a different line isn't gonna lead to a different result. I am not yelling. I just need you to listen to me. I thought we were going steady.
Well, hey there to our Elevate family all around the world. Great to have you joining us here today for what is the third and final installment of our series, If Money Talked. We launched this series, week one, with a message that we called You Assume, Consume, ? That's something our money might say to us, because so many of us live with what I call the consumption assumption, that we live with the assumption that everything that, in terms of money, that everything that comes to us is actually for us. And I unpacked some of the pitfalls of that, living by that particular assumption. Week two, we looked at what money might also say to us, spend me away, ? Because again, this idea that everything that comes to us is for us has actually spilled over to people matching their income and spending patterns. In some cases, in many cases, in fact, in increasing cases, spending more than they earn. And the problems that can lead to are pretty well known. Now, we don't talk about money every week. Some people say, oh, the church just wants your money. The church just talks about money. No. However, it is an incredibly important subject. It's something that's pervasive through all of our lives, and it's something that Jesus focused on. In fact, 40% of Jesus' teaching stories were about money and stuff. And so we don't talk about it all the time. However, we certainly teach a series on money and stuff every year, because every year we want to really recalibrate our thinking and our behaviors to line up with what Jesus taught about, how the kingdom of God is meant to operate, not merely the culture that we live in. And playing Captain Obvious, this 3-week series, there's only so much we could fit in. And so we've chosen to really focus on one particular theme with this series. So what I would strongly encourage you to do is go back and listen to, we didn't have our online experience back then, so you won't be able to see this wonderful creation in front of you. You'll only be able to hear my beautiful silver tongue teaching. But go back to last year's series. We taught about money and stuff called Like a Boss. And this just this idea of how we can be the masters of our money. We can manage our money and not have our money manage us. Previous year, we taught a series on money and stuff called Economy, how to maximize your personal economy. And then the year before that, 2017, which the lessons still ring true, was called Making Change. This is it here, Making Change. 4-week series. Less is more. Stress is bad. Giving is good. And tomorrow matters. So go back in our podcast. You'll catch that on all the major podcatchers. Also our Elevate Church AU app. You can listen to it there. And go back and do the homework, do the revision, catch up, and allow God, allow Jesus, allow the wisdom of Solomon to realign you, as it has done for so many of us, to managing the money that God entrusts us with in the way that He would ask us to entrust us to do. The culture we live in, particularly in developed countries and developing countries, has written the script about how we should use and manage the money that comes to us. And it essentially goes like this. Live, well, spend, pay debt, which by the way is a result of number one, spend, pay debt, maybe save, and even more maybe give, which is a pattern that I refer to as live, save, give. And I want you to notice something about this, about living with this kind of order of priorities, this order of behaviors. This is the way we spend it. This is the way we send it. That spend is about me. Pay debt is about me. Saving, well, that's also about me in the future, but it's still about me. And then maybe if I've got a little bit left over, well, I might give some of that. And then that portion is me living for God and others. This idea of me first living with maybe a little bit of leftover giving. Whatever the pattern is, Jesus made it very clear that how we send it and how we spend it is very much a clear indicator of what's important to us. In fact, he distilled it down into one very powerful statement where he said, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So you can find out what's important to somebody by looking at their calendar and their bank statement. Because what's important to us, we spend time on. What's important to us, we spend money on. And so it's not our Bible and necessarily that will determine or demonstrate to others what's important to us. It's our calendar and our bank statement. And Jesus didn't say this to shame us. Instead, he just wanted to make sure we understand that our money's direction is a sign of our affection. And this is recorded in Luke chapter 12. And what I want to do is I want to back it up. Stay in Luke chapter 12 and back it up. So if you've got the Bible app, I encourage you to pop that open. Our online experience is not a spectator sport, so get it, get into it, lean into it, grab your Bible app. And while you're there, by the way, you can like this. Hopefully you like it. Of course you like it. Like this. Leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. But open up the Bible app to Luke chapter 12. And I want to, as we've done the first 2 weeks of this series, I want to drill into another of the 16 stories Jesus taught about money and stuff and about how God's kingdom works and about what's expected of us to bring about God's kingdom on this earth. So this is what Jesus taught. In Luke chapter 12, verse 16, he told them, the audience that was gathered, this parable, this story. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, what shall I do? I have no place to store my crops. My harvest is so big, I've gotten so much income, I've had such a great year that my current bank account, my current barn can't fit it all in. And maybe you're reading along and thinking to yourself, I'd like to have some of those same problems. But you might have more in common with this guy than you think. I mean, ever had a garage sale to get rid of stuff that you no longer need or could no longer store? Ever sold stuff on eBay? Ever looked in the deep recesses of your kitchen cupboards and thought to yourself, I don't remember buying that, or I remember buying it, but I can't think for the life of me why. Maybe had the same experience in your closet. You've looked in there and discovered clothes and shoes that you haven't worn for several years. Or this one, have you ever carried boxes of stuff, those plastic containers, to the shed or the garage or the attic and the basement because you're not using the stuff that's in them, to place them alongside boxes of other stuff that you're not using? You might have more in common with this rich man than you think. Now, by the way, a little advertisement. We have construction going on at our house about 2 meters this way. So if you're hearing some rumbling in the background, it's not my stomach, and so don't have to adjust your devices, but just listen more closely. Then Jesus said, this is about the guy, Jesus teaching, this is about the rich man. The rich man then said, this is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones. And there I'll store my surplus grain. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy. Eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, you fool! ! This very night your life will be demanded of you. Then who will get what you've prepared for yourself? So this is how it is. Jesus drops the big bottom line. This is how it is, or this is how it will be with whoever stores up things for themselves but is not rich towards God. And so I would put it to you that Jesus' big idea, whilst we live in a culture that teaches live, maybe save, maybe give, that Jesus would actually want us to flip the script, that Jesus actually teaches us to flip the script. And my best understanding of what this boils down to, and what Louisa and I have been doing for many, many years, and what we've been teaching at Elevate Church for many, many years, it's what we use and recommend, what we do and recommend people do, is instead of live, save, give, that we would flip the script and instead live as this way: give, save, live. And then that's what this looks like. Give is about God and others. Save, well, that's about you. And live, well, that's also about you. So no need to panic. I mean, if you've made it this far into our online experience, keep listening. You don't have to tune it out, because Jesus isn't telling you that you shouldn't be on the list. He's just saying you're not first. And it's like, well, that doesn't sound like fun to me. Well, let me explain it just a little bit more clearly. Jesus also taught that we ought to seek first God's kingdom and God's righteousness, and then all these other things will be given to us as well. This idea of putting God first, seeking God first in every area of our life, including our money and stuff, is actually how we unlock God's involvement in our finances. That God says, if you take care of my kingdom, I'll get involved in yours. So give. And we talked about this in the first week of this If Money Talked series. Give. That money's a tool, and that God calls us to use a percentage, not all of it. In fact, relatively speaking, a very small percentage. A percentage of what comes our way to invest into the lives of others. And that's how we turn stuff into stories. And then save. So give, save. That like we would allocate a percentage of our income to giving, that we also, it's wise to allocate a percentage of our income to saving. Give, save, and then guess what? Live. Live on the rest. Live on the rest. Once you've given and once you've saved, then the rest is all yours. So newer, nicer, shinier, renovated, bigger. Knock yourself out. Give, save, live. And I can tell you from personal experience and from leading in Elevate Church that people who flip the script and move from live, save, give to give, save, live experience two key benefits. First of all, they experience a freedom on the inside, that money's no longer the boss of them, that money is no longer their master, that they take control of money and use it as a tool to do what God's called them to do, and that brings a freedom on the inside. And then the second benefit is a circumstantial one, that managing money the way God instructs us to, give, save, live, unlocks financial freedom on the outside, that we're no longer slaves to lenders, we're no longer slave to consumption, that it brings a freedom. And so I want to stick the landing on this If Money Talked series by showing you an incredibly inspiring clip from two of our great team members here at Elevate Church and how they chose in their lives to flip the script. This is our great friends, Jared and Rochelle.
I remember there was a point in time I was having a conversation with a good friend of both Rochelle and I about mission work, and they're very involved in the groundwork of mission work, in getting out there and going to the poorest countries and helping people on the ground. But this friend, she sort of made it very clear to us that God doesn't call everyone to do that, and the people that are out there in the field, they need people like us behind, financially secure, to be able to support them in the work that they do. That's just as important, and we really felt together that that's what who God called us to be.
The other thing I think as well is that there's no ability to be generous when you have nothing to be generous with. And I've always been a generous person. That was probably the way I was raised. My parents worked for a mission organisation and they lived on the donations of others. I got to see firsthand how God provides when you trust Him and how God uses people to be generous. And that was how I always wanted to be. But it got to the point where we weren't able to do that because we just didn't have the resources. And that was something that was truly heartbreaking for me.
We kind of found ourselves in debt just really by not keeping track of what we were doing. We just weren't being careful with what we were spending. We just thought we were normal. We had all the things that normal people had, a credit card, a car loan, all that sort of thing. But there was a particular series that came up at Elevate where God really spoke to us. It was a series about money. It was a series about how to handle your finances the way God has laid it out to. So it was kind of at that point where we realised, hang on, maybe there's a few things we need to change about the way we're going about this.
The first thing that we really knew we had to do was create a budget and get strict with tracking our spending. So of the two of us, we both have our gifts and strengths, and Jared's strength is definitely more on the side of finances and that kind of thing. So we decided together that he would be the one to put the budgets together, come to me to discuss whether or not I thought that they would work, and that then he would track all of our expenditure in this fantastic budgeting app called Good Budget. So it's a really easy way to track what we're spending as we're spending it.
It was still really a partnership the way we went about it. Together we still agreed on what to or not to spend the money on.
It was important for us to continue giving 10% because I believe that it's really important to honour God with our first and best, and if you're not doing that, He really doesn't have the ability to work through the remaining 90%. It's how do you trust God with your finances? Do you want to try and do it all yourself, or do you want to trust that we have a God of amazing provision?
We saw God work through our commitment to getting out of debt a number of times along the way. There were a lot of small wins along the way, and I think that was part of following this process called the debt snowball. The way that's laid out is exactly designed for that, for having these small little wins along the way, for keeping you motivated.
God actually also blessed us throughout the process, and He actually enabled us to pay off debt quicker than we expected through these blessings that He provided to us. In that time frame as well, we were also able to buy a new house in the suburb that we had always been dreaming about living in. Though it might sound like that's just getting more stuff, it actually, what it is for us is that it's allowed us to have a home and a place to invite people so that we can create relationships and friendships by sharing this beautiful place that we now live.
So now that we've finished this journey of getting rid of this debt that we had, there's just so much blessing that God's opened up, and really one of the big ones for me is just the amount of stress level that is not there anymore. There's a lot less stress. We used to have a couple of brand new cars, really nice flash cars, but they're gone now, and what we're driving is a 10-year-old little Hyundai. There's just no stress. It's a joy to drive this thing. I love this little car. And it's a manual, so it's good fun, like a rally car.
Our friends who we were discussing earlier are now working for an international organisation called Wipe Every Tear. They work freeing women who are victims of the sex trade in the Philippines, and we're able to support them month to month in their work, which is so incredible, and the stories that come out and the lives that are changed from that are just amazing. We have the flexibility to be able to say, okay, we're going to give something toward that because we really feel as though we should. We feel that it's something that God wants us to give to.
We've got a nice overseas holiday planned. It's our 10-year wedding anniversary that we're celebrating, but we're also using that as a bit of a celebration of having completed this journey, of having paid this debt off, to be able to really just keep going forward for God.
And we're just really excited to be able to see what He has in store for us in the future.